We've got a gauntlet of coaches and quarterbacks from all different walks of life here at this point. I mean, you've got coaches who rookie quarterbacks, I should say, rookie coaches in this situation, coaches who have been here, 5, 6 years that know the game. Where will Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams rank in the NFC North on the coach to quarterback relationship here, especially knowing now Jared Goff has a completely new situation going on for him up in Detroit?
That's a tough one. I feel like the NFC North, like no one knows how it's going to shake out because you could convince me that Detroit is going to still be number one, but then you think about them losing both coordinators, like
Yeah.
how is Jared Goff going to look? Then I don't know, like losing a center and Frank Ragnow like shortly before the season, I like that is huge, and I think like that could play a big factor in it. Then you go to Minnesota and you're like, oh, there's Kevin O'Connell, the two-time coach of the year, and now he has JJ McCarthy, who a lot of people are giving a ton of credit despite him never playing a snap, and
Yeah.
like this is truly like his rookie season, but Kevin O'Connell has the resume that supports him turning these quarterbacks into, people who are in like offensive player of the year conversations. And then there's Jordan Love. Does he have enough weapons? They draft wide receivers. Is that going to be good enough? Is he going to live up to his contract after signing that big deal last year? And then you're like, well, he's paired with Matt LaFleur. I think it's so tough to say. I would love to say number one, but maybe I'm going to be safe and call it number two. But it's going to be
Okay.
directly linked to where the Bears finish in the division, like that player coach relationship. So
Yeah.
then I'm like, that gives them a lot more credit than I think is probably realistic. That's just me being optimistic. But yeah, I that one's a tough one for me. I'll say number two, but it's probably not going to be the case. What do
I
you think?
I think you're in the right range, and the reason I say that is because I don't think the Bears have to be in second place in this division for it to be the second best thing. If you find a way to hit the ground running with this schedule this season, Bears schedule is much tougher this year. If Caleb Williams looks like the quarterback that we think he is, I think you can argue number one because you don't have all the questions that you just brought up about every other quarterback in this division, right? Maybe JJ McCarthy kind of fits in to that same similar thing with Kevin O'Connell and Caleb Williams, or Kevin O'Connell, like Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams do. But I think when you're looking at the Jordan Love Matt LaFleur relationship, it has grown. It's been interesting. It's been up. It's been down. It hasn't brought in a great run just yet. Maybe you look at that playoff run is great, but like there's still question marks there. By the way, Jordan Love's still throwing way too many ill-timed interceptions at the worst moment. And you only won a divisional game last year because you got a block at the end of the game on a field goal versus the Bears, who had a terrible offensive line, and you had one of your worst offensive linemen on the line on the field goal. I think that there's a conversation to be had where this could be the best combination of player or quarterback and coach. Because if this hits the ground running, there isn't money attached to it yet. You've got a long runway, and Ryan Poles can build a team around this young man just like he did this year that I think makes it much easier for Ben Johnson moving forward. So I would almost feel like you could be talking about them, like you said, number two for sure, but maybe even number one.
But how do you gauge that? I guess is my question. Is it wins and losses solely, or is it like touchdown interception ratio? Is it Caleb
Well,
Williams on track to pass for
yeah,
4,000? Like if they're not winning, I think that's where I struggle. Of like, I don't know where they're going to fit into this division. I don't know that it's going to be in the top two.
yeah.
Like that's where I get a little bit more like, I don't know how are you going to judge that completely, or is it just like, all right, we know that this is the pairing. Maybe next year Caleb Williams is the one to take us into the playoffs.
Well, I think it goes into what Caleb Williams says, right? If it looks like a pairing that's going to be here for a long time, you don't have question marks about it, right? Like, and if Caleb plays better, I would assume that's leading you to more wins. If Ben Johnson has common sense and throws a couple of these out there,
He already said he
I,
will.
you know what I mean? Like he said he will. He says he's gonna understand the moments and situations. We'll see when those moments actually hit. But like I'm telling you, a couple of these last season, we look at this Bears team completely different. We may be looking at this Bears team last season and going, we have to keep Matt Eberflus. He figured it out.
Ooh,
He's got this thing right. Like you're in a completely
yeah.
different conversation last year if common sense moments are had, if a field goal isn't blocked, if like these last second moments where you saw either player error that just felt like there's not enough talent there, or coaching error more times than not. I mean, Matt Eberflus put on a clinic. I've called him on this podcast and on the radio many times on ESPN. Like He was we talk about Caleb Williams as a generational player. He was a generational loser. And I'm talking just on the football field. Like, it was
You
impressive the
got more
ways
to
he
say about
lost.
off the field too, that means.
I don't have nothing to do with him off the field. Flu's a nice dude. When we talk to him, he's always very courteous. He's a good dude, but
Very good dude.
he was a generational loser. It was impressive how he lost games. And I think that, like, to me, that being out of the building leads you to more wins. And if that relationship looks like, okay, this is not only just back to status quo, but this is going to be here, like Caleb Williams said, for a while. I think you look at that and say that's one of the better relationships in the building, because there's still we haven't paid Caleb Williams yet what he's going to be getting.
Right, and that's why the window is what, 3 years, that
Yeah,
Ryan
you got
Poles has
3
made
years.
it pretty clear, like, all these signings, extensions, like, they have set the window for them to win, and it's gotta start right now, right? Like, if you don't see
Yeah.
progress this year, well, then you're set back, and that window all of a sudden is out the door. So clearly Ryan Poles feels confident about who he hired to be his head coach, obviously who he drafted number 1 overall to be his quarterback, and I gotta feel like he's going into this season feeling great about himself. But you talk about getting off to a fast start; it's not an easy schedule. Like, there is a
No.
very good chance they go into that bye at what, 1-3.
1-3. You
Like,
definitely
and
could.
then what's the conversation? Like, we know how this city reacts to early season losses, especially when 2 of them are against your division.
Yeah.
Like, this could be like total full force panic if it does not start fast and well. I do like them starting against JJ McCarthy and the Vikings in his first game. I think there's actually way more pressure on him coming back to his hometown, playing in his first game. But we also know that, like, they loaded up in free agency, like that defense, the offensive line. Like, I think the Vikings are scary.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think I was having this conversation yesterday on the breeze. There's not an easy game on this schedule outside of the same. There are games that we look at because of who the team has been, and we say, oh, that should be easy. And then I see training camp videos with Abdul Carter and Brian Burns on the same side of the defensive line. I'm like, oh, God, I forgot about that. That's going to be a problem. Oh, wait, they have a really good front seven. Like, that's not an easy game for you. You know, we see the Vegas Raiders on the docket, but then my brain goes back to the fact that we had, you know, the worst run defense, one of the worst run defenses in football last year, and they just added Ashton Jeanty, who everybody spent, you know, 6 months telling me was the greatest running back to ever touch a football, and there's no way you can miss on this guy. Like, there's so many things to me where all these easy games that we're trying to put on the schedule, it may not
They're
be
not
that easy.
easy.
Ben Johnson is not going to have what Flus had at the beginning of last season, where we were like, wow, AFC South, rack up wins. You should be able to kill this.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be interesting to watch throughout is because we feel good about the roster and we feel like, oh, they have all these weapons. Colston Loveland is essentially going to be another wide receiver out
Yeah.
there. But we all know that every season brings a little bit of drama in Chicago. And how is this going to be managed? Because it was a topic of conversation last year where Caleb Williams, he had one receiver every game that he keyed in on. He felt like he had good chemistry with that guy that day, and it was not spread out. And granted, play calling, offensive line, a lot of other factors that went into it. But I still think that is something to watch this year, of like how everyone responds to having to share the ball. I think that's a huge stressor on the coach, the quarterback, and what could turn into something in the locker room if it's not. I don't know, if players don't understand the selflessness, the no block, no rock quote that Ben Johnson lives by.
Well, listen, as always happens with coaching changes, sometimes there's those talented players that you look at and you say, we love you, but you don't fit what the mold is. Hopefully we don't have that here. Hopefully everybody's very kumbaya. I think we have a lot of personalities in that locker room that do fit that kind of I don't care how we win as long as we win mantra. But it's always different when you get halfway through a season. It's like, I got 400 yards, bro. Like, y'all need to throw me the football a little bit more.